The pandemic, as you know, has brought on a whole new list of challenges in every aspect of our lives. For emergency services like Ada County Paramedics, they've spent the year in hyperdrive. They've seen their usual calls for heart attacks, strokes, and car crashes on top of responding to COVID issues. Our Joey Prechtel is on the story for us tonight. And Joey, you're taking a look at the impacts that they're seeing this year, and they are huge.
Absolutely, Mark. Now, we were supposed to hear about all of this from the chief of Ada County Paramedics at a Central District Health Board meeting just a couple of weeks ago. He was ready to present to the board, but then, of course, that meeting ended up being canceled. That's just one of the reasons why we decided to reach out to the organization and hear what they had to say, to hear how they're getting through 2020. And what we heard, and what I heard from the chief of Ada County Paramedics today, is that first responders are dealing with a number of issues that are very similar to the issues facing hospitals across the region.
It's been tough on my folks.
Ada County paramedics have worked in this pandemic now for 9 months.
We've seen 3 distinct peaks in, COVID or flu-like illnesses that we did not see last year or the year before.
Those peaks have been at the very beginning in March, again in July, and as recently as November.
We saw over a 2-week period an increase of an average of 2 COVID positive patients that we were transporting a day to 8.
That's around 10% of their daily calls just for COVID-19 patients in Ada County. Fortunately, they've seen that number drop off recently.
I kind of expect to see it come down a little bit and then go back up after that. And it's really just dependent on how people behave over the Christmas holiday and how safe they are.
One challenge his team has faced, staff shortages, similar to hospitals.
Back in July, right around the 4th of July, we had 15 people out on quarantine or isolation. That equates to probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 12 to 13% of our staff.
Just a couple of weeks ago, that number peaked to 20 people out at one time. Now, with all the changes, response times have increased, but not by much. And where the calls are coming from is also changing. Usually, the bulk of calls comes from downtown Boise.
This year, we're seeing a lot more calls kind of on the western part of Ada County, more out in Meridian. And if anything, I could attribute it to more people staying at home or staying closer to home.
As for the COVID-19 patients they're transporting, well, these are some of the worst cases.
Obviously, putting them on oxygen, at times we have to actually put a breathing tube down into their trachea to help them breathe. And all of that stuff is tough on not only the patient, but the providers providing care for these folks out there.
And he's worried about what's to come because of the upcoming holidays.
I think we just have to do our best to, wear our masks, stay socially distanced, be mindful about not having large gatherings with people outside of your household.
Now, I did ask Ada County Paramedics if anyone has been vaccinated yet, and so far, no one has, but a spokesperson told me they could expect to start getting vaccinated in the next 2 to 4 weeks. In the meantime, the main message from the chief is to just keep practicing those COVID-19 precautions in order to slow the spread. Back to you.
That vaccine is bringing optimism indeed. All right, Joey, thank you. Joey Prechtel reporting live.